Hello, and welcome back to another amazing episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And today I'm joined with Becky or Rebecca. I'm gonna go with Becky. I'm struggling to properly pronounce Rebecca. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for taking the time and for coming into my playground to share your journey.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, Becky, where in the world are you? Where are you tuning in from?
I am in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Have you always lived there?
No, I'm from Tennessee originally.
Mm, I've heard Tennessee in many different songs.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's awesome. So, what is it that you do and how do you do it?
I am an inspector packer at a healthcare manufacturing facility. And so I work 12-hour shifts. So that takes the bulk of my time. But then I have certain days off during the week to actually write as I'm an author. And it's more than a hobby. I love it more than anything, but you got to have money to pay for your writing. So that's what I do.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. So, what is it that you pack, if you don't mind me asking?
If you know the medication like Ozempic or Mount
Mm,
Jaro, the
mhm.
plastic containers that the medicine comes inside of, it
Yeah.
would be those plastic materials that are put together and we assemble them and then ship them to our our customers, and they're the ones that put the medicine inside of the
Mm.
um the plastic pieces technically.
Oh, okay, okay. That's important work that you're doing because I am on medication. So,
Me too. Me
yeah,
too.
yeah. So, thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you. It's
You're
hard.
welcome.
It's
I,
hard. You think it's easy, but no, it's hard.
yeah, yeah, I believe you. I used to do 12-hour shifts, sometimes during the day, sometimes
uh,
at night.
oh
It
no.
is brutal,
Yes.
absolutely brutal. So, I appreciate you showing up today
Well,
to come on the podcast.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Becky, tell us who you are and what else are you doing where you are?
Well, my name is Becky, and born and raised in Bluff City, Tennessee. I married my husband and moved here to Asheville, North Carolina. And so the main focus was, for his job. That's the reason why we moved here. But I also wanted to be in the mountains because we had briefly moved outside of the mountains, and I just want to be with the mountain folk. And so, other than working and writing my books, I also do short stories and poetry. I also I like to ride motorcycles with my friends and things like that. I don't drive, I ride, a passenger. And I spend a lot of time writing because growing up, I had a lot of childhood trauma. Um, Growing up in a predominantly white town in Tennessee. So writing let me get that out, get the pain out, and kind of heal myself. And so writing really is the main focus of, I think, my life. And I do it more so now to help others, to let people know they're not alone and that we all have a reason for being here and we all have a purpose, and that the time that they're dealing with bad stuff right at this moment is not the end all, that there's more on the horizon, but they just have to hang on for the ride.
Mm, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of write. I'm still building the muscle for it. I think everybody can write. What do you
Yes,
say? All of us are capable,
yes,
but we don't, we criticize ourselves. What are your thoughts on that?
yes, because I first started writing in high school, and I never thought I was that good, even though I entered a couple of contests and won a couple of trips. After high school, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with that. But then when I went to college, I got a broadcast journalism degree in communication arts and literature because I still love that writing, but I never planned to stay in it. I thought it was just this thing that I wanted to expose myself to. I never felt like I was that great. And so come around, recently when my mother died 4 years ago. I I had written this book, Hating Self by Boo Black, and it was supposed to just be for me. But then after my mother passed, I realized that it could help other people. And so I'm not a James Patterson or Iris Johansson. I am just a simple girl or woman trying to communicate. And so what I learned in broadcast journalism is that you want to keep it simple. And people don't realize that those of us who speak simply have the better chance of reaching the majority of people in the world, because no one feels like they're good enough, no one feels like they're educated enough, but anyone can write. They just need to know what other tools are available to them to help them succeed. And so that's what I've learned. I've got a team of people that are helping me. I also use Grammarly, which will actually kind of self-edit you as you write. But when you sit down to write, all you want to do is write. You want to get what's in your head on the paper. Don't worry about structure. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about anything except getting the words on the paper on your computer. You can worry about the other stuff later when you have a team of people to help you. So yes, I do believe that anyone can write.
Yeah, yeah. Less is more.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking as you were sharing. Less is more. Yeah, anyone can write. And I don't know, when I first started to write, I did pull myself back, criticize, and like, oh, it's not good enough. But I used my trauma and my pain, and from
Yes.
there, I branch out all the anger and
Yes.
all the different things that needed to be healed, and also
Mhm.
with self-love and compassion as well.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
right. Because I've hated myself for a very long time, and I've finally gotten to the point where I love myself. But growing up in a predominantly white town, I was told that I was of no value. I wasn't as smart as everyone else. I wasn't as pretty as everyone else. I was less. So
Mm.
I hated my color of my skin, which I could never change. So all of my childhood was spent hating myself and wanting to be someone else. So writing allowed me to get all that out. And then I came to the realization that, hey, I've got some talent. I've got some talent. God gave me some talent. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where you have to get to, is
Mhm.
understanding that the things that you have, God has given you, and you've been gifted those things, and you need to use them.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. You spoke words that all of us are suffocating with. For you to be
Yeah.
able to speak them, you have healed, my friend. You are beautiful the way you are, and you have overcome. I can tell from the wisdom and your story and how you show up for yourself. I used to feel the same way. Why am I the way I am? The color of the skin and the language. And that was a different part of me that was speaking at the time. That person was gone, broken, and walked all over. But the
Mhm.
woman you're looking at now, no one dare messes with her because she has risen from the ashes, and you have risen too. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, you have risen. And
Yes.
you are perfect just the way you are. So thank you for sharing that. It just stirred something for me, so I thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But you
Yeah.
are beautiful. And it is really sad when we hate ourselves, because no one can love us if we hate ourselves.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. And I've talked on the podcast about racism quite a bit. And
Yes.
these are topics I continue to revisit.
Yes.
Why? Just because. Because it's
That's right.
it's happening, right? It's like the massive elephant in the room that all of us notices. We're tripping over it and we say nothing about it. So yeah. So thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Tell me more about the title of your book, which you sort of give us a little glimpse. Walk me through the process of you writing it.
All right. On hating self. A lot of my ideas come from dreams, but it's probably just my subconscious speaking to me. So I knew immediately when I sat down to write, that title came to me immediately. because my whole life has been about hating me. So hating self it made sense. And from there, I just sat down and started giving examples of experiences that I dealt with from childhood to adulthood, and even some experiences I'm still currently dealing with, in Loving Self by Boo Black, because the racism never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
People can say that it's not as bad as it used to be, but the problem is that those of us who are dealing with it, it doesn't matter whether it's more or less. The fact that it exists is
Mm-hmm.
there, and we can't get away from it, and we can
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
escape it, and we can't hide from it. And so all we can do is put a smile on our face and carry that pain on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So, hating self was just an explosion of me just almost like vomiting up all the pain, everything that I went through as a child, and realizing that those people that did those things and said those things to me, they don't know what they do. Just like when they, in the Bible, they talk about, people don't know what they do. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They don't understand
Yeah.
what they're doing, and they've been taught by society to
Mhm.
treat people who are different or others as less than them. So
Yeah.
they were just, carrying along that legacy. So I had to learn that I can't hate those people because they do not know.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I still have friends back home.
Mhm.
And I tried to tell them when I was in school, this happened, that happened. But when you're
Mm.
a kid, you don't comprehend, and
Yeah.
it's like it's no big
Yeah.
deal. You're making a big deal out of nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that book, I think, saved me,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm in Canada. I've experienced racism. And I think, excuse me, anyone that is different than who we are threatens our existence.
Mhm.
And it's been happening, I don't know, since before dinosaur time. It's like I'm better than you, you're better, I'm better. It's competitive, and it
Yes.
takes a lot of growth and exploration to be like, okay, what was the point of this happening? Aren't we
Mhm.
all the same? We're all here for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'll give you an example of something that happened to me. I think it happened 2 weeks ago at
Mm.
Tim Hortons here where I'm in Canada. I was in line waiting, ordering, and I'm waiting for my food. So the person who's, doing the order, I accidentally pick up a cup that wasn't mine because it sounded very similar, the name. And there was a fellow Caucasian, older male, standing right there. And she's like, "Excuse me," to the person who was giving the food. I think the Negro woman took my drink. So I got up. I heard him say that. I got up, I approached him, and I said, "Excuse me, did you just call me a Negro?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I did." I'm like, "Well, I have a name. Would you like to know my name?" He said, "Yeah, sure." Okay. And I said, "My name is Bernadette. What's your name?" He told me his name. And he said, "Sorry, I did not mean to call you that." And I said, "That's okay, but do not call people by their name based on how they look," right? So right there, I set an example. My kids were there, my partner was there, and there were people watching. People were in shock of him saying that. And when I got up, they assumed that maybe I would be violent or cussing. That's not my style. I will
No.
do it though if I have to in a life-threatening situation. But
Yes.
that is an example of how I think we can educate people.
Yes.
Because after that incident, the guy was really nice. He apologized. He was talking to my kids. He did not mean to call me that. It just vomited out that way. So
Yeah.
he knows my name now.
Well,
And
that's great.
that is an example of how we can teach people.
Yes.
But it does
Yes.
happen. It happens.
Yes. I did the same thing in high school. Of course, it's it's just in Tennessee, it's just the thing. just
Oh,
racism.
high school, that's a whole different
Right,
playground.
high school. But high school, I had a friend named Daniel, and he was not a friend. He was a fellow classmate, and
Yeah.
he came from a very racist family. They even had the KKK in their family, and so he would say things to me, and they were kind of racist. They were very racist. Okay, I don't remember him ever using the N word, but he made me feel like he used the N word, if that makes sense.
Oh
And
yeah, I
so
get it. Yeah.
yeah, I knew where he was coming from and the things that he would say, and it was bad. Like our freshman year, it was just bad.
Mm,
And then, but I just kept, smiling, being nice. I never went off on him. And then sophomore year, classes changed, and it was like he got stuck in some of my classes, and I had all these friends, and he didn't have any friends, and he started kind of following me around and
mm,
showing up at the lunch table and all that stuff. And so I introduced him to my friends, which all my friends were white, right? And I was always kind to him, respectful, everything. And so I want you to know that, by the end of our sophomore year, we were friends.
mm,
And never, ever, ever made me feel bad. He actually apologized for the
mhm.
way he had treated me, because he had always been taught that Black people were less, Black people were stupid, all these terrible, terrible things.
Yeah.
And so he and I were such good friends that actually my daughter's middle name is Danielle, and his name was Daniel. And that's
Yeah.
like it came to me because we had formed that friendship over
Hmm.
that crazy family of
Yeah.
his.
Yeah.
So, sadly, he died because he couldn't find a kidney or something.
Hmm.
Um, but I still think of him, and I tell that story a lot because people
Wow.
can change, but
Yeah.
you have to do it with love and kindness.
Yeah. 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 Racism is taught. There's a quote.
Yes.
I don't know who I'm quoting. I saw it somewhere. Racism is taught. It's not something we're born with. I've
No.
never ever seen little kids be like, "Hey, this is the color you are. I don't want to play with you." They
No.
swim around each other. They play. They don't even care what they look like, right? So it's
That's right.
taught. Yeah, I can see that, everything you've experienced, how it created. You've given birth to a piece of art through words that's gonna set people free. And it
Yes.
has set you free as well.
Yes.
How many chapters are in your book? I think you told us some stuff you covered on there. Is there anything else you'd like to share about it?
Yeah, originally it was 13 chapters, but then I republished it. The Kindle is out on Amazon right now, where I republished with a new cover and did some grammatical things I found. Once you publish, you actually find things that you need to fix. And so it's like 15 chapters. If you go on Kindle, it's 84 words. If you buy the paperback, which I should have re-released this week, it'll be like 167 pages. And it talks about lessons I've learned, like don't let other people tell you your value. Stand tall, don't be a follower, because I always wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like everyone else. I wanted to blend in, but of course being Black in an all white town or school, you can't just blend in. You stick
Mhm.
out like a sore thumb. But that's apparently what God meant, that he wanted me to do, and he wanted me to go through that to help others. So the lessons are just more or less things that I learned through various experiences, and I explain what experiences made me come to that
Mhm. Mhm.
revelation.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Whew, what an amazing conversation we're having. Yeah, for me, I mean, from looking at this, I really don't fit in any box. I refuse to put myself there. I refuse to let people put me there because they have put me there before, and shrinking ourselves to be liked. And yeah, over time, as you get wiser, not older, wiser, you learn a few lessons.
Yes, and
Yeah.
my book isn't just, I mean, it talks about my struggle being Black,
Yeah.
but it could also, there's a lot of bullying instances in there. So I wrote it to help teenagers specifically, because there's so many people that have been wanting to disappear themselves. And I too have done that in the past. and I still struggle with depression, anxiety, and things like that.
Mm.
So you could have a disability, you could be the short one, the fat one, you could be, somebody from New York that moved to the South. I mean, the book is
Yeah.
so general. It's talking about anyone who goes through any bad situations or bullying situations, and how they need to learn to love themselves and realize that they have a purpose, they have a reason to be here, and that we need you here.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why I wrote it. I wanted to stop people from
Mm.
trying to disappear.
Yeah, yeah. That's a beautiful message. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. What else are you working on?
Well, as you know, you may not know because you're in Canada, we had a Hurricane Helene that came through. Um, it touched 7 states, but it came in through Florida, Big Bend area, and I'm in North Carolina. And when it got to us, even though they downgraded it to a tropical storm, we all still refer to it as Hurricane Helene. So I published Butterfly Blossoms by Rachel Bleu the day before the storm. I had voices or whatever saying, you need to get this published, get it published, get it published. So I did. And then the very next day, then it started talking about Hurricane Helene. Hurricane Helene came here in North Carolina and flooded everything. We had mudslides. People died in mudslides. We
Mm.
had no power, no internet, no food. Electricity was out, so you couldn't buy things without cash. It was like a bomb went off in all of Western North Carolina. So it was like when I tried to go get to my friend's house for 3 hours and couldn't get there because every road had either flooded water or a big tree. That's when I decided I needed to write Hurricane Helene, Resiliency After the Storm, Part One. It had to be my next book. I was originally planning on doing Dragonfly Passion by Rachel Bleu, which was a follow up and a young adult version of Butterfly Blossoms. But then Hurricane happened, and I had to put that on the back burner. So right now I'm doing interviews with people, getting photographs of the storm damage, and trying to dedicate the book to victims and those people that they lost. And so I'm hoping to have that to my publisher by June of this year so that they can perhaps get it in print July, August timeframe. And then I'll have it available at the Happily Ever After Romance Book Festival in Sevierville, Tennessee, September 5th through 7th.
That's amazing. Wow, that's incredible. So, walk me through the process of you writing poetry.
Well, I started writing poetry back in high school, and it was a lot about love or boys or some. I actually wrote one about being black and white. It was I found my old book of poems, and I'm probably going to do a book of poetry and just pull everything in. But I had stopped writing poetry until I wrote Hating Self, and then I actually wrote a story, a poem for Hating Self. So in the front of that book, you'll see an original poem by me. And then I wrote one for Loving Self, and I wrote one for Butterfly Blossoms. And so I realized I still got it in me. I still love it. Hurricane Helene, however, I have a doctor who wrote or did a poem the day after the storm hit. So
Hmm.
I asked her for permission to put that in the front of Hurricane Helene because it was just done so well. So poetry is kind of like another release, but it's short and quick. And I don't follow any specific what do you call it, like pentameter, or there
Yeah.
are no rules. When you write, you write. And if you want to make the 2 words at the end, rhyme, you do. If you don't.
Mm.
And so I just it's just one of those. It's a quick release. Like if I get something in my mind that I want to get on paper, that poem is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I love that you write about that. I think I might have heard about it in the news. I mean, when
Mhm.
something that big happens, you hear it everywhere. It pops on every feed, and I'm sure people are still struggling, to recover. I don't think some people understand the magnitude of damage how something that catastrophic can destroy someone's life in
Yes.
so many ways.
Yes. Yes. In the book, I have photographs, of course, but I talk about people's mental and physical health, the fact that people watched their families wash away
Hmm.
in slides and rushing water, pets, livestock. They mentioned, bodies in trees because the water was so high, that the water was so forceful
Yeah.
that you can't swim in that. Even if you're an Olympic
Oh,
swimmer, you can't swim in that. And
yeah.
so the water carried them away, and bodies are found 16 miles away. Days later, they're still finding bodies. So I was worried that people would forget, first of all. But then secondly, none of us realized that a hurricane could touch the mountains. And so one chapter is called An Ocean in the Mountains, because we're not at the beach. So most of
Mm.
us were like, hurricane's coming through, big deal. We'll get some wind, some rain, no big deal. But for 2 or 3 days prior to Hurricane Helene touching down here, or touching down in Florida, we had rain for like 3 or 4 days. So it was already flooded, and the roots of the trees were already weakened. And so when the hurricane hit, it was just like the end of the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So people think that it's something that happened and we're over it. No, there are still
Oh,
people living in tents and campers, RVs. There are people who are paying for homes that are gone. They're still responsible for their mortgage payments, their tax payments. There are businesses that have closed down and you no longer have employment. There are people who've been evicted because the landlords didn't understand that you didn't have income for
yeah.
so many days. So we're still feeling the pain, and I'm trying to get the victim's story out. And I also, a portion of the book sales will go to Hurricane Helene victims. And so I want it to be a historical piece. So I'm calling it a nonfiction historical. It captures not only victim stories, but also various news outlet stories, and then my personal experience and the things I see and saw and the things I felt. So it's a very emotional book. So I'm going to
Yeah.
need therapy after I'm done. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I believe you. It is, yeah. I'm from Haiti, so we had the earthquake in 2010, and then there was another one that struck, but it was bad. I had my family down there. I honestly didn't know if they were alive, what was happening.
right.
It was all over the world, the news, you could see it, and yeah. So I definitely understand the impact of natural disasters. And
Yeah.
if I may, this is another beautiful example of how we can come together. Right? When it comes to race, they're not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna help you because you're black. Oh, I'm not gonna help you because you're this. It's like, come together. How can I help? How can I support? Do you need a jacket? Do you need food?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
why can't we be as nice when there's no catastrophic event happening? I don't get it.
I
Right?
mean, like you said, we're comparing each other. We're all fighting for the little bit of nuggets that we can get from the wealthy. We're all trying to make something
Yeah.
out of our lives. And we don't understand that our human connection is the most important part of our lives.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything else that I didn't get to ask you that you'd like to share with my audience?
I just want to make sure that they know that Hating Self by Boo Black and Loving Self by Boo Black and Butterfly Blossoms by Rachel Bleu, that's Bleu, they're all available on Amazon.com. I also have a website, which is www.rebeccaWellsPhillips.com. They can also send me an email there at gmail.com with the same name. Hurricane Helene will be published through Shaw Publishing, and I most likely won't put it on Amazon. We're going to aim for brick and mortar
Mm,
bookstores. And I'm also looking for businesses that are willing to sell the book out of their locations or put it on display or let me come and speak to them. And I would also like them to know that if they have any experience or any Hurricane Helene experiences, I would love to talk to them, have an interview with them, maybe include them in the book, or if they have any photos from there, because I've got lots of photos people are sending me to include in the books. So that's about it.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. So what is the meaning of life for you? You've gone through quite a lot.
Yeah, I that's a hard question. The meaning of life for me, I feel like my life is not my own. I feel like when God put me here, He put me here to help others.
Mhm.
So through my life, I'm looking for ways that I can make a difference and to help other people. And so if I can help one person, then that's kind of feeding that. And so like with Hurricane Helene, it's tears, depression, everything I've gone through, collecting all this information. In the end, it is all for other people because this is not the first storm and it won't be the last. And if you believe in climate change and global warming, then this is just the beginning of storms that could happen here or anywhere. And we were not prepared. And so in that book, I actually have a chapter on supplies and things to have in preparation for any storm and to help people take things seriously. Don't play around. Get prepared. Even if you've got bottled water that you end up drinking for the next, 2 months, you at least have it just in case.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. So leave us with some messages of hope as I wrap up this episode.
My hope is that no matter what we're going through, no matter what political side of the thing you're on, that you realize that we're all part of one race, and that is the human race, and that we can make a difference. And if we work together, no one can stop us. No matter what the world is going through right now, you can make a difference. Don't feel down. Don't feel defeated. We're stronger together than apart.
Awesome. Well, Becky, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for writing
Thank,
change into existence, if that makes sense. And thank you so much for who you are and for showing up, for delivering, and for being there for those who are
thank
suffering in silence. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the time that you've given me, and I hope we'll talk again.
Definitely. You're welcome.